Welcome to Review Diesel, everybody. This video today is for our Stage 2 Workhorse package for 12-valve Cummins owners, 94 to 98, 97. This package deal is for the guys that are hauling heavy trailers every day, to and from work, steep mountain grades, hauling hay, hauling horses, using your truck for what God intended it for. This, once again, same as our Stage 1 package, this package is very safe. None of these parts are going to melt your motor down or blow holes in pistons. One thing that I didn't include in the package that you may want to do with this package, you are getting onto the spectrum of factory head gaskets potentially failing. So if you purchase our Stage 2 Workhorse package for your 12-valve Cummins, I did not include head studs in it. That's a very labor-intensive project that most do-it-yourselfers aren't going to tackle. To do it the right way, you would take the cylinder head off, take it to the machine shop, get it decked flat, put the studs in, torque them all in the pattern that Cummins specifies. Not required, but you're getting close. So this turbo is the BD turbo. It's a bolt-in replacement, but it will not work with the factory downpipe, so it comes with a HX40 style downpipe. Gets rid of the really restricted downpipe that would attach to the factory turbo or an HX35 and opens it up to a full 4-inch turbo or downpipe. So the BD turbo paired with the BD fuel pump upgrades, AFC spring, BD fuel plate, BD governor springs, BD delivery valves. Great parts. I've installed them for years. I've never had any issues with them. Back in my younger days when I was really nerding out on this diesel stuff, I would even measure the tension on the springs to see if they matched, and they actually were matched up better than anybody. So I was pretty impressed with that. So that's why I included all these BD parts on the Stage 2 Workhorse package. You're going to have a fast fuel system to feed that those bigger injectors and that fuel pump that we're modifying. When it comes to a fast, there's a lot of different ways to do that. You can do a fuel sump in the bottom of the tank. Some people are worried about that. Oh, I drive off-road, I'm worried about ripping out of the bottom of the tank. If that's you, I encourage you to go watch the Beans Diesel Performance video here on YouTube called their sump torture test. Your sump is never going to leak. I'll just put it that way. If you don't believe me, watch the video. If you're scared of drilling holes in your tank, you don't want to do a sump, we can get you a SureFlow sending unit. Just type SureFlow into the search right above at the top of our website. Type in SureFlow. There's different options, short bed, long bed, stuff like that. So be attentive when you're ordering that. But the SureFlow fuel sending unit will work perfectly with any fast, all the way up to 650 horsepower. They've got a whole extra port in the sending unit. So instead of just pulling through one, you're pulling through two. So what a lot of times you'll read about on Dodges specifically, 94 to present, they've never fixed this issue. The fuel sending unit has a bucket, and you're pulling out of this bucket, and fuel is seeping up into the bucket through these inlet ports. And there's a very fine mesh screen in here. So when you get below a quarter of a tank, you no longer have fuel falling into this bucket, filling it up with fuel. It is now seeping up into the bucket through the bottom. So Fleece has added a secondary port. So you're pulling through two ports now. It can keep up with any fast fuel system you're going to run on the street. You get up into the bigger competition series fast fuel systems, you could probably suck this dry, in which case I would just run a sump. But I didn't include these in the package deal because, once again, it comes down to options. If you want to do a sump, or you want to do this, or you want to use the factory the bulkhead fitting that Fast sends with the kit, you got a lot of options. I like this option. This is how my personal trucks are done. It's nice, it's clean. You don't have to drill any holes in the tank. A lot of people have a problem with that. So for you guys, this is the best option. Back to the Stage 2 package deal. The transmission, you're going to have to jump up to like a Stage 2, Stage 3 if you wanted to go overkill. We've included the transmission options that I know will work with these bolt-on parts, turbo injectors and all that. Clutch kit, you're going to have to be into a dual disc clutch at this phase of horsepower. So we put a South Bend dual disc organic, which is very important. If you're shopping around the internet, you want to double check our package deal and you start seeing other clutches for cheaper and you don't understand why, it's probably why. You can make a heavy duty high performance aftermarket clutch with ceramic material in it, and it's going to hold a lot more horsepower for a cheaper price. Good luck driving it. You will hate yourself if you skimp out on that clutch. The organic clutch is very driver friendly. It's very forgiving in rush hour traffic. You can push in that clutch 100 times. It's not going to wear your leg out. It's going to release very smoothly. You're not going to be dumping horses over in the back of the horse trailer behind you. It's just a very smooth operating clutch. I hauled livestock with it. I hauled hay with it out west when I was in my 20s, and it's just a really nice clutch. After I purchased a ceramic clutch that I absolutely hated and despised. So don't do what I did and buy parts twice. That's the whole point of this channel, and the whole reason I'm standing here wasting my time talking too much. But the Stage 2 package is going to be great. And back to the head studs. If you do decide to do the head studs, we have them here on our website. Just type in ARP and just look for the ones that fit 98, 94 to 98 12 valve. Now, you are going to have to machine the pedestals where the head studs go through the rocker arm pedestals. You're going to have to get those machined, or you're going to have to buy the BD diesel valve covers that have been clearanced to fit with ARP head studs. Those are your two options there. And if you do decide to do the studs yourself and you don't want to, that you don't have any blown head gasket symptoms, so your upper radiator hose is nice and soft and squishy after a long drive, your head gasket's fine. That's the easy way to check for that. If you're not blowing coolant around the radiator cap and stuff like that, you're probably fine. In that situation, I would encourage you not to pull the head off and send it out to the machine shop. Drop the head studs in one at a time. So pull a factory head bolt out, drop an ARP stud in, make sure you use the assembly lube that they send with it. It's very important. Lube up both sides of the washer, thread the nut on top of the stud, torque it to 89 foot-pounds, repeat that process till all of the head studs have been replaced with ARPs, and then you're going to want to come back and torque them to, so I get them all in at 89 foot-pounds, and then I fire the truck up and I let it idle in the shop for about a half an hour. It's pretty adequate. As soon as the thermostat's open and you see the coolant temperature gauge come up to midway, you're good. You've got some heat in that block, you got some heat in that head, you got some heat in those studs. Shut it off, torque them at 120 foot-pounds, and then put it all back together, go drive the truck, beat on it. Drive it the way you're gonna drive it. Go beat on it a little bit, tear it back down, re-torque those head studs at 125 foot-pounds, make sure they all click off. You'll be surprised how many of them move. And so what you're doing through that torquing process is you're seating that gasket really nice and you're putting perfect tension on that head. I've done 100 trucks that way, and they seem to hold up better than the trucks that we pull the cylinder head off and send it out to the machine shop and deck the block and waste all this money on machine work. I've had those trucks come back with blown head gaskets versus the guys that dropped studs in one at a time for 300, 400, 800,000 miles later, and they're still holding up just fine. So that's just a little extra knowledge on the package deal. The package deal is great. You're going to want to add gauges to it. I didn't add gauges because there's so many options out there. I would highly encourage you to have an exhaust gas temperature gauge. If you have an automatic, get an automatic transmission temperature gauge. And if you're going to do a temperature gauge on the transmission, most of these transmissions come with some kind of a port to put a gauge into. After you get gauges and stuff set up, if you want to mess with the exhaust, you can. I've made 600 plus horsepower through a factory 3.5-inch exhaust with zero issues in the past many times. But some guys just like the sound of an aftermarket exhaust. If you want a muffler or no muffler or straight pipe or 5-inch or 4-inch, those are all the options. And it's just too much for us to load on the site. It gets too busy and it screws up our package deals. So this is super simple, clean, cut and dry. If you like the package deal, we've worked some discounts in there. We haven't messed with map pricing at all, but we are able to save you guys money through shipping. So to ship all these packages, to send each one of these parts separately on separate orders, our website's going to auto upcharge you for shipping because we're only sending one part, versus when we put these package deals together, we can help you guys out with shipping. So there's a little bonus there, a little value built in. The most value, though, is the experience. We've been doing this for 20 years. We've set trucks up wrong. We've watched customers bring us the wrong parts. I want to put a 68 millimeter turbo with a stage 1 injector, and that doesn't work. It's just too much air, too laggy. And so then the guys pulling perfectly good injectors out and trying to sell them on Facebook Marketplace because you didn't do it right the first time. This is done right. These are tried and proven package deals that we've done over the years. You know, if you've got questions about it, feel free to ask us in the comments below. Like and subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications. The next video we do is going to be our Stage 3 Extreme Performance Package, and that's for the guys that really want to have fun with their truck. That's going to be the package deal that I daily drove for most of my life until I inevitably wrecked the truck, but wasn't a performance issue. It was weather. But yeah, stay tuned for the other videos and hit us up in the comments if you guys have any questions. Thanks for stopping by.